Trump agreed to shut down the Trump Foundation. Oh, by the way, the Clinton Foundation is rolling right along, taking in money, dispersing money. The Trump Foundation has to shut down. There's a new attorney general in New York State. She just took office, and she's made it clear that she is going to nail this fucker. She is going to investigate every single aspect of the Trump business empire, such as it is, because it's based in New York. What's your name? Is it Underwood? I think so. Hold on a minute. This is important. Yeah, Barbara Underwood, the new New York Attorney General. And she announced today that Trump has agreed, like the cowardly little fuck that he is. See, once he's up against something that he can't control, like Mueller, he tries every way he can to figure out a way to kill Mueller, metaphorically speaking. And he can't do it. And it's driving him crazy. As far as the state attorney general of New York, there's not a goddamn thing he can do about that. Nothing. So when Barbara Underwood says, I'm going to investigate your Trump Foundation, I'll close it. Sorry. Before you close it, we're going to subpoena every fucking thing you've ever done. We're not going to allow you to close it. Because to dissolve a foundation like that, you have to file certain papers with the state's attorney general and probably the Secretary of State of New York. And they can slow walk those papers for 10 years. So even though Trump immediately pulled his pants up, tightened his belt, and ran out screaming, I'm going to dissolve it, I'm going to... No, you're not, buddy. Underwood said that the Donald Trump Foundation is dissolving as her office pursues its lawsuit against the charity, Trump, Donald Jr., Eric, and the beautifully coiffed and always well-dressed Ivanka. The lawsuit, by the way, was filed in June. And it alleges, quote, persistently illegal conduct at that foundation. Underwood has continued to seek more than $2.8 million in restitution and has asked a judge to ban the Trumps from serving on the boards of other New York nonprofit organizations because they're fucking thieves. Every goddamn one of them. Underwood said today that her investigation in New York has found, quote, a shocking pattern of illegality involving the Trump Foundation, including unlawful coordination with the Trump presidential campaign, repeated and willful self-dealing, and much more. Can't wait to see the much more. How about you? She added, this is an important victory for the rule of law, making clear that there is one set of rules for everyone, end quote, which will come as not just news to Trump, but a total fucking shock. Trump doesn't believe that. Well, I follow the same rules as some jerk off out in Queens? Are you fucking kidding me? I'm Donald Trump. Sorry, asshole, but there are certain rules and regs that even you have to follow, just like the working stiff out in Queens. The Washington Post documented lapses at the Trump Foundation. Lapses. Trump used the charity's money, this was in the Washington Post, Trump used the charity's money to pay legal settlements for his private business, to purchase art for his clubs, to make prohibited political donations. See, to Trump, fuck you and your rules. I'm Donald Trump. I do what I want. He moved his criminal operation from the streets in New York to the fucking White House. That's all he's done. Trump denies that his foundation has done anything wrong. In late 2016, he said he wanted to close the foundation, but the New York Attorney General back then said, no, not while we're investigating. So that investigation now apparently is complete. Now he can close it at his leisure. The settlement with Underwood's office to close the goddamn thing represents, it says here, a concession by Trump to a state investigation that he screamed was a partisan attack. It always is partisan, isn't it, you prick? Huh? Yes, it is. This is one of numerous legal investigations. What are there, 17 of them going on? Of Trump organizations. These investigations have proliferated during his presidency because of the way he runs the country. He tries to run the country the same way he ran his criminal enterprise. He doesn't want an attorney general. He doesn't want a chief of staff. He doesn't want people in cabinet positions who make decisions. He wants puppets, just like he had when he ran his criminal enterprise as a civilian. And of course, what Trump cannot understand is that different rules apply, you dumb shit, when you become involved in government. When you become a senator, when you run a campaign, when you become president, when you are been nominated to be a Supreme Court justice, all of a sudden the rules change. Why? Very simply, you ignorant orange asshole, because once you get into the realm of politics, other people's lives depend on your decisions and your knowledge of what you're doing. Trump has no knowledge of what he's doing, and he doesn't give a shit about other people's lives. Alan Futerfas, a lawyer for the Trump Organization, declined to comment when the Washington Post contacted him and said, well, Alan, what's up? Want to make a comment? No thanks. In a court filing in New York, Attorney General Underwood said that the Trump Foundation's remaining $1.75 million would be distributed to other charities approved by her office and a state judge. Ooh, now if there's one thing a gangster doesn't like, it's somebody reaching in and taking his money. Motherfucker, what are you doing taking my money? Take my wife, take my fucked up sons, but don't touch my money, motherfucker. Well, that's exactly what Underwood is doing, taking his money. So I wonder how long it'll take for Trump to tweet out something about Attorney General Underwood's sexual orientation. Just like I wonder how long it's going to take him to tweet out something about the judge's race. The judge that today told Flynn, I'll give you another 90 days. You better do some thinking, boy. The Attorney General's suit alleges that Trump used his charity's money as his own personal piggy bank, including to help his presidential campaign, which is a fucking felony. But how many felonies has Trump committed? And the Republicans in the Senate, who should have gone to him and said, you know, when the House starts impeachment proceedings and it gets to the Senate, your ass is done, Mr. Trump. But they won't. These filthy, goddamn fascist Christian Republicans are going to do nothing to stop this monster. Taking money from charitable donations to help his presidential campaign by paying for giveaways at an Iowa rally. In the initial lawsuit, Ms. Underwood wrote, quote, "The foundation was little more than a checkbook for payments to not-for-profits from Mr. Trump and the Trump Organization." Now, the Trump Foundation was never a big deal when you consider other foundations. It was a front. It was a place where the chumps could deposit money and get a tax deduction, and Trump could then use the money any fucking way he wanted by filing false reports to the state attorney's general's office. But at its peak, in 2009, it only had about $3 million in the bank, which is chump change for a so-called billionaire's charity, right? But it was a case of money in, money out. Money in, more money out. Money in, lots more money out. He had a fucking fountain in front of Trump Tower in Midtown Manhattan redone. He had a portrait of himself made. I'm sure Miss Ivanka probably used some of the money to make sure she was perfectly coiffed, well made up, and dressed like the princess that she should have been. Oh yeah, in recent years, the largest gifts to the Trump Foundation came from Vince and Linda McMahon, the World Wrestling Foundation people. God. The largest donation in the foundation's history was a $264,000 gift to the Central Park Conservancy in 1989. And it really benefited Trump's business. The money paid to restore the fountain outside Trump's Plaza Hotel. You fucker. The smallest gift was a $7 gift to the Boy Scouts. And that appeared to benefit Trump's family too, because this is in 1989, because it matched the amount required to enroll a boy in the Scouts the year that his son Donnie Jr. was 11. So the Trump Foundation paid for this little prick when he was 11, the kid, Donald Jr., to get into Boy Scouts. How about that? This cheap fucker wouldn't even give $7 of his own money to the Boy Scouts. Wow. The Attorney General's investigation, there's more, turned up evidence that Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, the brain-dead one, and Ivanka, the perfectly coiffed and always beautifully dressed Ivanka, all listed as officers of the charity, had never held a board meeting. Not once. Why would you hold a board meeting about your piggy bank? You wouldn't. The board hadn't met since 1999. The charity's official treasurer, Trump Organization executive Alan Weisselberg, him again, told investigators that he wasn't even aware that he was on the board. Weisselberg has cut a deal with Mueller to explain to Mueller all the shit that Mueller needs to know about the Trump crime family. State investigators asked Weisselberg what the foundation's policies were to determine whether the payments that they made were proper. Weisselberg said, "There's no policy. Just so you understand, there's no policy." At one point, Trump used the charity's money to make a $25,000 political donation to Florida Attorney General Pamela Bondi. You know my connection to her. The charity didn't tell the Internal Revenue Service about that as required, and instead listed that donation as a gift to an unrelated charity in Kansas with a similar name as Pamela Bondi. But that was a neat trick. Trump's team, when caught, blamed accounting mistakes. During the presidential campaign in 2016, state investigators said that Trump effectively ceded control of the charity to his political campaign. He raised more than $2 million at a fundraiser in Iowa that flowed into the foundation. Then, according to the state of New York, Trump campaign manager at the time, this twisted up little fucker, Corey Lewandowski, determined when and where it would be given away. Lewandowski wrote in an email that was in Attorney General Underwood's lawsuit, Lewandowski wrote, quote, "Is there any way we can make some disbursements this week while in Iowa?" At a time when Trump was appearing in Iowa to gin up support for his criminal presidential campaign. Corey Lewandowski, he's that little feisty shit who had no problem jerking around a female reporter at one of Trump's Sieg Heil rallies. Lewandowski, you remember that little shit, right? The demise of the Trump Foundation still leaves one mystery regarding a large portrait of Trump that he bought allegedly for $20,000 in 2007 using money from the charity. What became of it after that is unknown, this portrait. In 2017, after the Washington Post wrote about that portrait that Trump had paid $20,000 for, Trump listed it as an asset on his charity's IRS forms. He said its value was $700, but he didn't say where it was. On this year's tax forms, however, the painting's value was listed at $0. The tax forms for the charity. Trump's attorney did not respond to a question from the Washington Post about why it was listed as $0. $20,000 to $0. Trump is a fucking gangster. If you don't remember anything about this son of a bitch, please remember that. He operated a criminal enterprise as a private citizen. He moved the tactics and the structure of that criminal enterprise into the Oval Office without missing a beat. And that's where we are now. The United States of America, that would be us, are being led by the head of a legitimate, again, no pun intended, criminal organization. So, once again, the question, how much longer are we going to put up with it?
Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcasts. You have your choice. You can listen to the ranting with the audio podcast or listen and watch me lose control with a video podcast subscription. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.